Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit late for the video, but thank you to Abuela. You guys can thank my wife's mom for taking care of our daughter, and I have to stay here for a few hours. Our second daughter just came, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. Mom's doing good. Baby's doing good. So thank you guys so much for your prayers and your well wishes and all the comments. And I've gotten many, many messages. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't shout that out enough. And the reason that I'm copping on is because I am so thankful, and I do happen to have some time where I have to chill at the house before Abuela gets back. So I will be giving you guys some daily expected moves. And I kind of have to go through this in one shot because I don't have the most time in the world. But I want to get you guys those daily expected moves as we did get some interesting price action for today. And not necessarily price action that takes us by surprise, but we have a lot of earnings. So there is risk as we go forward. So I wanted to go over some of these things. I want to do the full disclaimer here and say I was not able to view the market for most of the day, but I did view it a couple of times. So I will be overall looking at this from the perspective of looking back at it, just so you are aware. I wanted to be 100% with that. Daily expected moves. You already saw this on Patreon, and I was going to make this just a Patreon video, very, very quick one, but Abuela was nice enough to watch our daughter for tonight. So you guys get the full update on YouTube. So here we go. 701.83 to the upside for tomorrow, 689.01 to the downside. Implied volatility very much so increasing for tomorrow. So we do see that earnings volatility coming in, the Fed interest rate decision coming in. So we do get a pretty decent sized range back up to these levels. But overall, the daily chart was able to cross up. Now we have to see if this is a good confirmation. As you can see, the SPY ending at a negative 0.01 does tell you that this isn't the best confirmation in the world. And you still want to be aware that there is risk of doing something like this. But like we said, as we did get the price action to go with the technical analysis here, the 2-hour chart able to go positive here, positive territory, violating any kind of divergence, violating any kind of lower high for the bearish roll. That's scenario number 3. What do we notice? Scenario number 2, the 30-minute pullback that just starts the squeeze to potentially that weekly expected move. So we can look at this from a simple perspective, right? We can look at these things, even looking at it backwards, not watching it for most of the day. I can look at this and go, hey, the 2-hour chart is positive. Can we keep squeezing? The answer to that is yes, right? Do we see anything that tells us that the 2-hour chart has to curl down right now? And we have to acknowledge that that 2 hour is positive. So bullish trades most likely will be easier because you are positive. You are very likely, as the market likes to go to the upside, that you can see dips be bought up by buyer demand. But as we look at the 2-hour RSI, you go, that is not even close to overbought as of right now. So you have to be open to the squeeze continuing. Okay, I wanted to point that out, but I think it's very important to say this. As far as taking a trade goes, if the 2-hour crosses down, is that my bullish trigger to really go into a bullish trade? No, that is when we will most likely be pulling back on the 2-hour chart. We'll be pulling back on the 2-hour chart, and we might even go take care of some gaps or something like that. You can see crazy moves with earnings and things like that. So if this crosses down, I don't want to be bullish initially. I want to do my homework down in these type of areas, right, at that daily expected move, maybe of 689.01 if it gets down there. Once again, it doesn't have to. We're going to go over the 30-minute in a moment, but 689.01, very, very nice level to pay attention to, and maybe do my homework on the 30-minute to see if that's able to curl up, see if this curls down, gets by the center line, and curls back up into positive territory. Because we have taken out this level, unless we see a crazy moment where this comes down to these type of areas and rolls down, or breaks this low and rolls down, the bear case is not highly probable at this point. Now we're going to go over volatility after going through the Qs. I know that we're going through a lot in the SPY, so if you want to skip over the Qs and go straight to volatility, I totally understand. You can look for that. So the big part here is, can the squeezing continue? Yes, right? Can we, if we see a 2-hour to pull down, don't necessarily want to be bullish initially. I want to do my homework maybe on those shorter time frames, or just look for this 2-hour to confirm back up into positive territory. And then what would I be doing? I'd most likely be targeting next week's weekly expected moves, okay? The 30-minute chart, though, could come into play here for the potential squeeze. If you notice we're not at that weekly move, what's the percentage of time that we do test one of these sides, right? One of these sides, we test them about 75% of the time. And we're really, really close to this one. We don't have to go do it. It's not 100%, it's 75%, but we are above that 5-day moving average. And what do we notice from the 30-minute for the SPY? We do not see the MACD divergence. We do not see that divergence at the same time on the RSI. We don't see some kind of breakdown through the 5-day moving average that then has rolled to tell us that we're going potentially into a lower high that gets us into a negative trend. What am I getting at here? This is how you see if we're able to squeeze a little bit higher into that weekly expected move. If we actually go into that weekly expected move and we start to roll here, then we have the potential to create those divergences on the MACD and RSI. So as we get to that weekly expected move, starting bullish positions gets difficult. It gets harder to execute on those bullish plays because this is what the options market priced in for the week. And that says 68% of the time we're going to land back in that zone. So if we make a move outside of that on Thursday, we could just come right back into that on Friday. We could see that 2-hour pullback and then curl to the upside later on. What am I overall getting at with the weekly expected move here? Why do I keep circling it? This is every single week that you get this, and I will be putting out an update over the weekend. Hopefully, I hate saying things 100% because we don't know how this baby's going to react when we do take her home. But we do see that this is a decision-making area every single week. If you're at that downside and everyone's bearish, what do we say? Decision-making time. Because if you're bearish here, you can get ripped apart just like you did last week. So this week, if you get bullish right here, you can get ripped apart just like these people from last week. So this is a decision-making area. Starting a bullish position right here is rough. Even though the daily chart is showing signs of curling up, maybe I do, if I haven't taken the 30-minute play in here like we were talking about, maybe I am looking for some kind of 2-hour pullback to go up into positive territory, maybe even looking for the potential right shoulder that could have been. I know I'm running through a lot, talking very fast. You need to slow it down. I totally understand. But I just wanted to get through a lot of things here. And notice I can do a lot of this just by looking back. And even though I didn't watch the market for a lot of the day today and I just took a few peeks in there, I can still make a plan for something that I could potentially do next week. If we get a 2-hour pullback, then that means we might 2-hour pullback into early next week. So I can start to make my plan for that, even not being able to pay attention to markets with baby girl here, not on the way anymore. Gosh. The pregnancy was so much rougher than the labor, and I'm actually very thankful for that. I'm very thankful it went smoothly. Once again, thank you for the well wishes. I'm going to give you those levels for the Qs, and then if you want to skip over to volatility, if you don't have time, we're going to run through a lot of things here for the Qs that are very similar to the SPY. So I just wanted to point that out, and the Qs do have a lot of tech earnings and things like that, so it could have some risk attached to it. One thing to notice here is your daily expected moves are big. These are very, very big moves for one day. You are seeing 640, up towards the monthly expected move. Really, really close to it for your upward daily expected move. So 623.66, 68% zone for tomorrow. There can be crazy things that do happen, just so you are aware. If some kind of surprise comes out, I believe I'm seeing a lot about Microsoft. Just be aware that this thing can it can pull back, it can squeeze, but it can pull back. Why could the Qs, why can we say that we need to be cautious now? You're at the decision-making areas. Now, a little cheeky thing that I like to do as just like something that I've done for a long time, it's not even in that full technical analysis course that you only have like a week left to get, or actually I think it ends this weekend for the sale, but the SPY isn't there yet. The Qs are. So sometimes when that does happen, I like to pretend that the SPY needs to get there before the Qs can reverse down. So if the Qs wanted to, they could extend up to these levels. The SPY could go tag that weekly expected move over on the SPY, and then maybe we start to pull back. So I think something here to acknowledge is the 2-hour chart here for the Qs is closer to the overbought territory. And I think maybe a good thing to do here would be sit, wait for that pullback with time, sit, wait for that pullback with price off of that 5-day, wait for maybe the MACD to come down by that center line to curl back up into positive territory, kind of like we did right over here. You notice that we saw that breakout moment, which was kind of crazy. Seeing a breakout moment, kind of crazy. More just the buying was really good here, not necessarily breakout. Breakout would be right here. And then we pull back dramatically, but we immediately knew that this was too bullish of a move, and we need to pay attention if the 2-hour can curl up by the center line. Look where we're at now. Imagine you're right here. Imagine this MACD goes down like this. Imagine it goes down like this. It would just be a lot easier to execute. So let's look at the 30-minute chart. The 30-minute chart here, not showing divergence or anything like that. And you see how even the Qs could see a 30-minute drop that then goes into those good price action levels for those buyers, taps off of that 5-day, and then sets some kind of trap by the end of the week, there is potential government shutdown coming, right? There is a catalyst that can be used to convince people of stock market crash again, but that is very low probability. If that shows its face, if stock market crash starts to become probable again, I will point it out. But it means that if that 2-hour crosses down, I don't necessarily want to be bullish at that moment when we're potentially going into a government shutdown, right? So the 30-minute here, still positive. No great divergences there on the MACD, no divergence here on the RSI. So that tells us that we should be open to, as long as this curls up into positive territory, we don't lose the 5. You should be open to, if that curls up, a test of the high, go make a new one, and then you would be watching for a trap at your weekly expected move, because that would take you outside of your 68% zone. And maybe the better idea here, at least I'm speaking for my own trading, especially since I won't have time over the next couple of days to look too much at markets and pay attention enough for a trade, maybe I am looking for whatever wants to happen for the market and then see a 2-hour pullback that I could then make a decision with later as maybe we pull back down to that center line. I think that would be fantastic. Squeezes on the table. If that happens and we never get a 2-hour pullback, then I will have to be very patient there, and I will have to be patient for my setup. Let's go over volatility for a moment. Volatility, 2-hour, really, really close to the center line. This is why squeeze is on the table, because we're still not getting that big move, right? We're still not getting the big move from volatility that goes even like this for some kind of pullback. Now that can come right now. The 2-hour is positive. It's not curled down, but it's trying to curl down at the end of the day. And you're starting to see the signs of like, oh, this is some kind of wonky hourly lower high. Yeah, hourly lower high at that point, you would say. So if the 2-hour is able to confirm down here, we would look for some kind of move down to this 1504. But because we didn't get the reaction, you can really see how if we created some kind of divergence here by Friday and we start to pull back, you will potentially have 2-hour divergence. That says that big volatility can come. Even though it's low probability for a crash, this is still a VIX signal that says, but watch out, something is coming. We know there's a potential government shutdown. But I think a lot of people at this point are praying for that to be the reason for a crash. I think a lot of people are praying for a crash at this point. And unless the charts actually show it, I'm not going to mention it. So you might hear me say, watch out for the 2-hour divergence here. It can fail, but that means if the 2-hour divergence confirms, I don't want to be bullish at that moment, right? I don't want to be bullish at that moment, but if I start to see that rolling up in these type of areas, maybe a test of 20 comes in and we see that roll, that's when we're going to be a little excited, because that would tell us that the daily chart is going to cross down. So VIX is the only thing here. This is why I really wanted to mention it and say, watch the VIX part. VIX is going to be a great, great warning flag that says, hey, maybe take the foot off the gas for a second. Maybe take those profits. Maybe look at where you're at with the weekly expected move. Understand that the SPY is very positive on the 2-hour chart, but also understand that VIX, if it would create a 2-hour divergence, and that's an if it would create a 2-hour divergence, I just don't want to be anything bullish at that moment, because 2-hour divergences do like to get the daily chart going. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. I know I had to go through a lot of things very, very quickly. We do have potential daily divergences now, right? So even though it's lower probability on the shorter time frames, if a surprise would come out, you just want to be aware of that. I think VIX is your signal to watch for the surprise. But as of right now, the most probable thing for the market is you are going to see a potential 2-hour pullback. Maybe the 30 minutes able to take you higher. Test that weekly expected move. The 2-hour pulls back, and then you're able to curl back up into positive territory. Because the 2-hour chart is so positive here, you would kind of be looking for a move just like this one to get bullish in this market. But being careful during this period of time with a government shutdown would be very, very good idea. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know I had to talk very, very quickly. There's a lot to go through with what happened today. More so with what happened today with the increase in implied volatility and just going through what could happen over the next few trading sessions. I think VIX is going to be a great warning flag if you do have potential for any kind of big disruption. But as of right now, the SPY chart, the Q's charts on the 2-hour, they are saying that we are going to extend to the upside in February. If those percentages start to change, if crash starts to become more probable, I will put out an update on Patreon, at least with pictures at this point, and I will keep enough of my finger on the pulse of the market so that I do see those things, right? So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and peace out.